Pakistani national indicted and sanctioned for human smuggling conspiracy. This is one of the rarest cases of an actual sanction put on an organization, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So now for human smuggling, moving people, it's uh, it's a very expensive actual task you have to pay for if you want to go into a country, especially United States. Um, Other countries have the same problem of immigration, but the United States just puts a lot of money into this actual system. They put a lot of money into this actual system, and it doesn't work. It's not working. Uh, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So, um, immigration does is prejudice. For example, I'm just throwing these numbers out there. They're not actual true to today. They're probably about 20 years old, but traditionally depends on how you are going to transport um, the jump, the brinco. Um, Mexican nationals anywhere from 3 to 6,000. 6,000 meaning it was a for sure thing, algo seguro. An actual inspector was actually on the take. Um, a la brava means, hey, we're going to take our chances. We're going to hide you in the trunk in a compartment. But once you get into a compartment, now it turns into a conspiracy. Also, for fake documents, that's also a conspiracy. They try to get you across through real documents with your information on it or different information on it. You just have to study on it, right? But after you cross, you do have to turn them documents back in. They are going to be reused again and again and again because they are the real deal. They are the real actual document. So when you bring in somebody from Pakistan, somebody from Afghanistan, Korea, China, you're looking at a jump like from 20 to 30,000 dollars. That jump. It might be more nowadays, but it was very, very lucrative, very, very highly penalized crime if you bring in somebody either OTM other than Mexican. And believe me, if you actually uh, captured an OTM, you were going to be doing some paperwork for a couple hours and finding somebody to pick them up from your station to go take them to a detention center. And when you throw into the equation bringing somebody overseas to actually try to enter into the United States, that in itself is very, very difficult and very costly. Along the way, you have to pay tariffs, you have to pay taxes, you have to, whatever way you want to call it, a bribe, anything, you have to actually kick down. Nothing's for free, and nothing is going to be expected to be given to you for free. And that individual who's taking responsibility, bringing a group of 5, 10, not more than 10, because that's too much of a crowd for you to conceal, to load up into a vehicle, to actually load up into a train, into any kind of uh, commercial truck. That's when you become a problem because there's too many actual individuals involved trying to actually cross. And for the majority, kids are not actually um, well liked through the actual mountain ranges because you have to wait for them. You have to be in somewhat of good condition to actually be even considered to be taken through the actual mountains. It's a hard terrain. Even for us, it would be hard. It was hard for him. We hit some most of the time. We did, hey, you know what? It's not worth it. Let's go back. Let's regroup. Let's try to catch them a few miles up, and hopefully that happens. If not, it's not worth your actual life. And I say life because a few agents have actually stumbled, fell to their deaths, and that's the honest truth. And some not now try to actually cross other borders to try to get into the United States. That's going to be very expensive too. and it's very, very lucrative, and you have to have the ins and outs of the actual of the whole route. And that's why for this Pakistani, they put a sanction on their entire actual organization. Here we go with the indictment. A federal grand jury returned an indictment charging a citizen of Pakistan for allegedly leading a scheme to smuggle undocumented individuals into the United States from Pakistan and Afghanistan. According to documents between January 2015 and 2020, Abid, 40, allegedly organized, led, and worked with others in his Pakistani based smuggling network to facilitate the travel of undocumented individuals into the United States. Abid allegedly disregarded the fact that these individuals did not have prior authorization to enter the United States and that their entry into the United States would be illegal. He encouraged and brought undocumented individuals to the United States for commercial advantage and financial gain. What does that mean? That means that somebody in a factory, somebody in an actual sweat factory has actual need for these type of actual migrants to work on 12, 15, 16 hours in a day with no complaints because they're going to be paying off an actual debt. And that happens for Chinese too. You know, they put them in a restaurant, they work them the entire day with few breaks in between, and go to sleep, and the next day back again. You know, they'll give them somewhere to stay, but they'll give them the basic necessities, basic, until they supposedly pay off that debt. You know, so now um, he led a global human smuggling operation that used fraudulent documents and international travel routes to facilitate the entry of unauthorized individuals into the U.S. He's also alleged to have organized and led an international organization that, in exchange for monetary payment, facilitated the illegal smuggling of individuals through various countries to the United States. So that's where they become now an organization, and now you can actually slap on the conspiracy. Okay, so Homeland actually took care of this actual investigation. They just follow the money trail, and so they actually consider this an actual threat because of the hostility that we ensued in Afghanistan. So they're gonna be actually watching out for terrorists. Terrorists meaning people from Afghanistan, however they want to call them, you know. But that's the bottom line. And by doing so, they were actually this would be their mentality, that they're committed to prosecuting individuals who pose a threat to national security and our critical infrastructure, including exploiting our global finance system through their smuggling networks. So the Miami Homeland Security Office actually, uh, the investigation revealed the Pakistani-based Abid human smuggling network operated in the Middle East and Southwest Asia is allegedly exploiting systemic vulnerability in order to move people into the United States and elsewhere. He accepted payments in exchange for planning and coordinating the international travel for foreign nationals to travel from Pakistan through multiple countries to include Belize and the United States, allegedly offering or provided false documents for foreign nationals to use for travel through multiple countries. See, they're using actually documents. And, you know, other countries, I mean, not other countries, but you tend to actually be able to bribe an immigration officer in other countries easier than the US. I'm not saying the US doesn't have any people who take bribes. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, if you actually put a piece of paper in between that passport, blank one, and you put a $20 bill, that immigration inspector or any kind of actual paper money, he will take that money, stamp that actual blank piece of paper, so there's no record of you actually going through their country and allow you to pass through. This happens in Cuba. A lot of Americans want to go over there and not actually be uh, punished for traveling to Cuba. They take their American passport, put a blank piece of paper along with the $20 bill. Their immigration will stamp it. Your blank piece of paper, so now nobody knows that you actually went to Cuba, but you still have that document, and you paid them $20. It was easy as that. And so, just to actually give you more of an idea of the sanctions, the Treasury Department. Now, the Treasury Department is totally different. They're their own actual bus. They actually put sanctions, required the blocking and reporting of all assets held by Abid, his associates, and the actual organization in the United States or in the possession and control of U.S. persons. This is just like if you're helping for example, North Korea. If you're actually helping them get corn, get water, get anything, you're not allowed to do that when there's sanctions on a country. Now, there's actually sanctions on an organization. It's like putting sanctions on a cartel. Anybody that does business with this cartel will soon be being charged with the actual violations of these actual sanctions. So they're going to try to make it as difficult as they can for them to do any kind of business throughout the world. That would be the plan for a sanction until they change their ways or they stop completely. With that actual being said, human smuggling is a very profitable business, but there's also a major overhead. Based on migrant accounts of how much they actually paid smugglers, they actually reported they have it estimated in Latin America only, smuggling networks generate at least 150 million and as much as 350 million a year, not counting payments to corrupt officials, local agents, or others on the US Mexico border. That's not even including them. And who exploit the desperation of migrants. For the individuals who engage in this business, of course, I don't agree with this. Security of their clients matter far less than the profits they can make. A lot of these polleros do take their actual clients into consideration. They do look out for them, for their best interest, because you want to build up a good reputation among the actual communities that you actually are known for. You don't want to be known for a smuggler who beats their clients, kidnaps their clients, starves their clients, leaves their clients behind. It's not all about that. They want to make sure they have a good reputation. Therefore, you get continuing repetitious business, right? And also with the number that they came up with, I doubt this. It may be about 20 years ago. This was the actual price, but it's heavier now. According to the actual members of this actual coordinated the actual smuggling of foreign nationals to the U.S. for an average cost of approximately $20,000. No, that cannot be right because it will for Honduras from El Salvador it will cost you $20,000 to actually get to the border. We're not even talking about crossing to get to the Mexico American border or the Canada border. It will cost you 20,000 if you're coming from South America. Now you're coming from another continent. It has to be way more. And you have to actually pay the actual you have to pay someone up front that this is another thing too. You want to be reputable because people are going to be handing you thousands of dollars before you even do anything. But it's going to be needed for you to pay off for your documents, pay off corrupt officials, secure lodging along these routes, and facilitate actual these actual facilitators have to be in every country in order for you to be successful. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I'll link it to this actual video when I actually helped that female that took her over 30 days to get from Ecuador to the actual Mexico-American border. And she was actually taken to a detention center, which was good because she put in for asylum and she was granted asylum. And I don't know if I ever told you guys, but her bill when I actually took her in, it was up to 64,000 at that point, from the beginning till that point. And that's just the way it was. That's just the way it was. And this actual individual, he's got a $2 million reward for the actual capture and the actual arrest of this actual individual smuggler. They haven't caught him yet, so it's going to be a $2 million reward for this actual individual. Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.